Hi, Iron Butterflies and Caterpillars. Today we are doing a video interview with our friend Terri Ray, and you met her when she wrote a story for us in December about her life and her experiences. So we're going to do a video for just a few minutes, and I think you're going to be inspired as I am for sure. So Terri, thank you so much for inviting us into your beautiful home and or your precious dog Olive, who may decide to make an appearance in a minute. So. What I'd like to know is tell us a little bit, if you would, about your professional background because I think that is very fascinating.
Thank you, Shelley, so very much for being a part of the Iron Butterfly Project. It's my pleasure to tell you I had the distinct privilege of racing for Factory Kawasaki in 1993 and 1994. I set 7 world records. The last one still stands today. The last one was set on June 24th in 1994. The movie industry had come to view us at the World Finals, and there was a movie being filmed called, you may or may not remember, Waterworld with Kevin Costner. They had a lot of watercraft in that film, and so they were at our World Finals and invited us over to the filming. And from that particular time, from then on, I got to go. My next job was Dante's Peak with Linda Hamilton. I got to double her, my first A-lister, and then Titanic, and then from there it took off, and I had the distinct privilege of being a Hollywood stunt woman for 26 years. I won an award in 2008, the Screen Actors Guild Award, for a car crash that I had done on the show 24. And it was just such an honor to be a part of that entire, 26 years. That was a really long run. It was a cool one, though.
So you have a lot of physical strength,
Yes.
and now it's evolving into a different kind of strength.
Yes.
And what we talked about today was you mentioned some words that you've come across that you've been thinking about, and how things have changed from your professional life into your personal life right now. So the first one that you talked about was something being inoperable. And you were talking a little bit about your subconscious.
Yeah, it's really cool. What I've noticed, Shelley, is coming from the day of diagnosis. Before that, I've had all this incredible strength, and I would always, when I would find myself getting down, I would always depend on that strength to pull me back and push me forward and just kind of get over things. Do you know what I mean? And I was able to do that for so many years. I would struggle though with the subconscious, because subconscious is an area where our programming comes from when we're younger. And there were some programs that I didn't agree with when I was younger, but there was nothing I could do to affect a change, to impact a change. And what I have found is that since coming from before the diagnosis to now that having the diagnosis, there's a strength that has happened that has overtaken and sort of made those old programs inoperable. They don't work anymore. They don't affect me the way that they used to. And I'm looking forward to being able to share those ideas and new thinking, new ways of thinking with others.
Well, and we appreciate you so much for being here. The second word that came to mind that you were talking about was contrasts, because sometimes I think when people are going through different kinds of therapy, they talk about the contrasts.
Yes. The contrast, and the other word was juxtaposition. These two words together, because you put things next to each other and they actually have different meanings. And for me, this word contrast means I knew a strength before the diagnosis, but it in no way can even begin to speak to the strength that I know now after going through this experience called cancer.
And so the last thing you were talking about, and I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit, is about how your physical prowess that you experienced for 26 years as a Hollywood stunt woman. Tell us a little bit about your workout schedule and how that strengthened you physically.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It was constant and always. You just were always, it's important as an actor, as a professional stunt person, you must always work your craft. It's just that's what the business is. And if you want to always stay sharp and stay alive with it, you just constantly work your craft. So for stunt people, it's constant. Like you get up, it's all about the food, the nutrition that you put in your body. It's about the rest you got the night before. It's about hydration. And then it's about your constant workouts, which keeping your body just fit and able and agile to move quickly and to be able to think in those hot moments when the set goes hot. you have to be able to move with the inertia that's happening. You can't stop and think about it. That's when people get hurt, or it doesn't end well, we call it.
So your workouts, they were like looked to me like maybe 10 hours a day. I don't know how you had time to work with the workouts.
Oh no, they're just very, very focused. And so for the women, and it would just depend on, for me, I had the privilege of doubling the women who were very, very small. So I wasn't in the position at that time to have muscles or have any sort of seeable, visible muscles. I just had to be physically strong and very agile. And so that was like a lot of endurance, you had to stretch a lot. After I came out of the stunt work of just doubling the main actresses, we call them the A-listers, then I could take the privilege of developing, muscles and kind of having a different kind of look, but it's always about just health and well-being and just being, in your body, being able to move in your body.
So strength and mobility and flexibility.
Yes.
So now
Super
how
important.
would those words transcend to your life now? Strength, mobility, and flexibility.
Right. It's just such a privilege to be able to know these words in such a different way, Shelley. It's just to be able to consider myself strong by something that I didn't lift a weight for this. This is something that transcended with the experience of going through facing a giant like cancer. It's a beast, and the flexibility of just being able to allow life to present itself. I'm here, I'm present with it, and not fight against it, but really to just receive it. And if I could even say, is that considering what has happened as a blessing to me, because I don't see it as an assignment or a curse as I might have seen it in the beginning, as we all do. I wouldn't have chosen this, but simply by virtue of embracing it and just being with it and allowing it to show me, I have learned so much about myself. And those are the things that I really want to share with other people, because when we're called to things, when things show up to us, there's something greater in us, and we have an opportunity to sort of move and be flexible, to use your words, with that is presented itself in front of us. And if we'll only just take the minute to not be afraid. As a stunt woman, I can tell you that it's not natural, the things that we would have faced before. Do you know what I mean? But fear never played a part in it, because I simply would not allow fear to make me quiet and to false evidence appearing real, I think is what I used to hear that fear meant, by the way it was spelled. And by just allowing and being with what was happening to me, I learned so much about myself that I really want to share with other people, that if we just back down just a little bit and allow it a minute and not focus on what's happening, but focus on who we are and what could possibly come out of what we are experiencing.
And you have a very strong faith.
Yes.
And so can we just summarize the interview with how that your faith has helped you in this healing process?
Yes. And I'll tell you, it was the very first question when I had come home that day from the diagnosis, when I made it to this space that we're sitting in right now. I simply sat down and I just began to pray, and I'm like, God, how do you want this to turn out for me? Because it was a beast. I'd never faced a giant like that in my life. And I remember it was Matthew 16:15, and it says, "Who do you say I am?" And I began telling God, like, well, I know that you're the creator of the heavens and the earth, and that you're my Father, and that you created me, and that nothing can happen in my life that you don't intend to demonstrate your power. So I just want to be in this with you, and I know that you will never leave or forsake me. And so I just began rehearsing all of the promises from God's word that were applicable to the situation. And that is what I have stayed focused on. And I do know Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I have said that since back in my racing days, you guys. I've just said it forever. But it's so true. But I just know the strength that I have now is completely transcended. It's come through a different door than the one that I had before. And I just look so forward to being able to share it with others. I really want others to feel that empowerment that we get when we walk with Jesus.
Thank you so much, Terri. We appreciate your time. And I'm going to put a link in this bio to your book, because you wrote a book called Live Courageously in 2009. And I'll put a link on where people can get that if they would like to. So we wish you the best of luck, and thank you so much for sharing your inspiration with our readers.
Thank you, Shelley. It's an honor to be a part of the Iron Butterfly Project with you.